All right, Joseph Kenyon writes, "Hey AMC Movie Talk, I have always been confused as to what the role of a producer is in a movie. What does a producer do? How does an executive producer differ from this? Thanks, and I hope you all have a great day."
There are two kind of answers to this. One is, you know, the literal answer, and the one is the answer about how it actually really plays out. You'll notice when you watch the Academy Awards, when they announce Best Picture goes to, and they announce the winner of Best Picture, it's not the director who comes up generally, and is the first one to take the Oscar, although now, recently, in recent years, they do bring up the director with them. It's the producer who goes up and takes the Oscar. It's the producer who is awarded Best Picture. Not the director, not the actors, not whatever. It's the producer. The producer is ultimately the guy behind the movie. Here's a typical kind of way we go. It's a producer who has the idea for a film, hires a screenwriter, or goes and options a screenplay from somebody, hires that, then gets the director on board, coordinates the budget, coordinates overseeing what's the production schedule going to be, pulling all the elements together, giving the director his direction, and then saying, now go and make the best movie you can with your artistic eye, but this is where we want it to go. And ultimately, the producer is the guy in charge of the whole film. An executive producer, by literal definition, is somebody who works for the producer, overseeing other producers, smaller role producers in the film. So like you have the producer, and then you have like 3 or 4 associate producers, and an executive producer can kind of oversee the work of a couple of the other producers, literally speaking. An associate producer will be a producer who has like one of the producer's responsibilities. So like if I'm the producer of a movie, but I want somebody to kind of watch over story development for the film, I might hire Dennis as an associate producer, and that's his area of responsibility, and then I might hire Schnepp as another associate producer as something, and then maybe I hire Whitney as an executive producer to oversee those two. So literally, that's kind of how it's supposed to work. But how it actually works in Hollywood can sometimes be a little bit different. Like I literally had a major motion picture. There was a studio that was interested in making a major motion picture. And they knew, somebody at the studio knew, I was really good friends with a director, that they were interested in getting attached to the film. And they were like talking to me, say, hey, could you go and talk to your buddy so-and-so, blah, blah, maybe arrange a meeting, come sit on that, give your input, and we'll give you an associate producer credit. You know, you can have Christopher Nolan, who really wasn't all that involved in Man of Steel. Not all that involved. He got the ball rolling. Mm-hmm. He got produced by the creator of the Dark Knight trilogy. Right. You know, people can just put producer or executive, they just tag that label on just almost anybody for almost anything. Oh, you raised $1 million for the film, you're a producer. Oh, you got your friend to get involved in the movie, you're a producer, blah, blah, blah. Now, ultimately, there is a producer of the film, and then a lot of people who just kind of have the tag put on them as well. But that's the literal and the kind of sometimes how it actually works out. Schnepp, you work in this world. You can understand why there's confusion. How would you break it down?
Yeah, very similarly to the way you broke it down, but I can add that sometimes the roles are flipped. The executive producer is the one who hires everyone out and just lets, like, it's like a chess game. They like, all right, and go. And then they go on and set up another chess game. They go on it. So that's the executive producer, and then they set up a couple of producers. And then those producers get like associate producers or line producers or production managers, and those people are the ones who are like, I'm in charge of this group of people. So it's this entire like overarching hierarchy that goes all the way up to the main producer, and then they report to the executive producer. I've also worked on shows where the executive producer, I've never even met them.
That's a good point. It differs between TV and movies.
Yeah, TV and movies, a lot of the executive producers just have their name because they're part of a TV network. And they like take out the people, the main writers or the directors or the executive creators. They take them out to dinner. That's it. But they're an executive producer, so they really don't do anything. They don't even look at the scripts. They're just like, ah, cool. So I've worked on shows like that. I've also worked on shows where the executive producer is in the trenches with you, working with you every day. And that's a great thing. So it's like sometimes it changes from job to job, just like there's producers or co-producers, or there's a co-executive producer, and that's my friend. I just, you know, he gave me the dog when I was a kid. I said, hey, co-executive producer, and here's $5. You know, sometimes producers make no money. It's just an exchange thing, like, hey, I'll give you this credit in exchange for hooking me up with this thing. So credits also equal money, you know, like in this business, or like you have to have credits in order to like have some kind of validity. All you look on IMDb and you see people's credits as executive producers or producers of stuff you've never heard of, You know, I mean, but hey, I've produced 7 movies that you've never seen. You know, that's the biggest thing in Hollywood is like people have these ghost titles as well. So, I mean, it's a constant changing thing. But what John originally said is that's kind of like the right way it's supposed to work, and then there's all the invisible weirdo ways that it actually ends up working.
And finding a good producer in Hollywood is totally the difference between a movie being great and a movie being crap, and it's sometimes hard to do. Dennis knows it can be really hard to get a good, competent, intelligent producer on board. Because I mean, you've had periods where, as a film creator yourself, trying to get a producer on board.
Yeah, producer is. It's hard to define because, like you guys have said, like they could do nothing or they can do everything.
Yeah.
And personally, working on my own web series, like I've gone through several producers because they say they want to do work, but they end up not doing anything, and people just want credit. And yeah, it's a tricky thing. It's one of those things that I think the PGA, who I've worked with, they're trying to put more of a definition on it. They're doing the producer's mark, which means that they're trying to actually put some validity to the producer title. Right. And I think it's something that's needed, because otherwise you just have like a million producers, especially on these big budget movies.
All right, well, I hope we answered that as well as we could, not because none of us are members of the Producers Guild of America, right. So I hope we gave a little bit more clarity to this jumbled mess of what is a producer in Hollywood.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news, and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.